it's Quinn. Welcome to my vlog. So today we're going to be making a slightly more complicated lanyard or plastic lace keychain than I demonstrated in my first ever crafting video. So instead of using just 2 colors, we're going to be using 3 and making a rectangle pattern. In terms of what you need to get started, you need 3 different colors of plastic lace, a pair of scissors, and a key ring. Prior to actually cutting your plastic lace, you need to decide which of your 3 colors is going to be by itself. So you're going to end up with 2 colors next to each other, and then the 3rd color going across them. Because it's going by itself, it'll be going over 2 different colors and need to be longer, as opposed to the other 2 colors that are only going 1 wide. I decided that I'm going to have my green by itself and then have my 2 blues be next to each other. So to start, I'm going to cut the first blue, and I'm going to do them about the length of my forearm, just because this is a demonstration keychain. I don't need it to be super long or anything. I don't want to force y'all to sit through like an hour of me weaving my plastic lace. So I have my blue. I'm going to measure my second blue to be the same length as my first one. And then just push those off to the side. Now, for my 3rd color, I'm gonna start by matching it up against my first 2. There we go. And I'm actually gonna make it twice as long. Now, on this scale, you probably don't actually need twice as much of the green as you have the blues, but better safe than sorry. And if you were making a larger scale keychain, you'd actually need twice as much in the end because it's going through twice as much plastic lace. Yeah, so now I have them all cut. I can go ahead and grab my lanyard and start my keychain. To start my keychain, I'm going to start by taking my longest length and finding its center. See right here. This is gonna be where I put my key ring, right in the center of it. Woo. And then I just double check that those ends still line up. And now I'm gonna repeat that same process with my 2 blues. So thread them through, find their center, and pull tight. And then these are going to be going the opposite direction of that green. So you can see I have my green crossing my blues. Now I'm going to keep those all together in that spot and position them in between my fingers to get started. I like to put this key ring in between my middle and ring fingers so that I can hold it steady and put my thumb on top as a separator. And you'll notice you have a very clear 2 blues parallel to each other with the green perpendicular. This is what you need to get started. So I'm going to wrap my first blue over my thumb, pinching it in place. Do the same with the opposite side, going over my thumb, using my point a finger to keep it in place. Repeat with the dark blue, and this time I'll use my pinky to keep it in place so I don't accidentally release that first one. And then for that final blue, I thread it over top again so as not to lose my place. Now when I go through with the green, I'm gonna do over, under, over, under. This is exactly the same as what you did when you had just 2 colors. The difference is now you have an extra set. So again, you're gonna go over this loose end, under the closed loop, over the loose end, under the closed loop, and then you pull all the way through. And you'll just repeat with the opposite side. So, over the closed loop, over the loose end, under the closed loop, over the loose end, under the closed loop. And pull tight. Make sure you grab all your colors to pull tight. And I always try to make sure that open end of the key ring isn't right where I pull tight, because it can make it difficult later on to actually attach your key rings to things. And as you're pulling tight, you might have to pull tight from a couple different directions, but in the end, you'll have this nice rectangular base with your 3 colors, and you can see the initial crisscross underneath. To continue your keychain, you're gonna just continue that same pattern you started. So you'll have over, under, so you just do all your loops over, and it's a little easier now because you can actually pinch onto the side of the key rings. So you'll go over with all of your blues and then weave your greens through. And I, in many ways, find this actually a little easier to do with this extra set of colors as opposed to when you just have a square, because it's really easy to just make your pattern and then weave through it, as opposed to always switching up who's being woven through, where you start, etc. Because there's really only one way to go. You also could start with your longer string and weave the 2 blues through it. I just prefer not to. I found that this works really easy, because especially if you line up your pretzel loops, it's really easy to just go straight through. Right, so I have my pretzel loops, and then in just one movement, I can go through both overs. And somehow I messed up because it's out of order. I'm gonna actually show you what happens. If you have them in the wrong order and you try and pull tight with this pattern, you'll notice that you get the square in the center, but nothing's closed in at the end. So I just goofed as I was doing those overs. Focused too much on talking to the camera and not as much as what I was doing with my hands. So once you start to approach the end of your plastic lace strands, it's time to go ahead and tie off your keychain. To do that, you're going to create one more layer. So you'll do all your overs, you'll go through, continuing that over-under pattern. But when you pull tight this time, you're not going to pull all the way tight. You're just going to tighten a little. And then to tie off, you're going to send each strand across, so over the matching color, or the one next to it really. So light blue goes over the light blue next to it, through that loop and up on top.
So I'm going to send this green around and over the green next to it, through the center and up through that gap. Same over here, across, over, got you. And I'm going to just pull those a little tight to keep them from flying free. Then this blue goes over and through. And then you can pull all of those strands tight. So just grab them all. And I like to push down on my keychain when I do that to keep these loops near the top of the keychain. If you've lined everything up correctly, you're going to end up with 2 little loops of bundles, right? Because you went in the center of each column. So the dark blue and green column will have the dark blue and green strands, and the light blue and green column will have the light blue and green strands. Voila! And then you just need to trim your ends. So let's do that. And you can just trim straight across. These are a little long, obviously. And you can also, if you want, do diagonally to just add a little bit of flair, right? So if you do diagonal from each side, you'll create some nice, almost like firework things, some hierarchy, you know? Voila.
The final kind of optional step for completing your 3-color rectangular plastic lace keychain is to apply either like a glue or a clear nail polish to the end to help keep these knots in place. This is optional. It just helps out while the plastic lace kind of forms a memory of how it should stay over time. In the short term, these plastic lace ends are going to try and come free of the knot, and the glue or the nail polish just helps prevent that. But if you don't do it, it's totally fine. Just keep an eye on your ends and regularly make sure you just kind of pull them tight to keep this whole knot from coming loose. And that's really it. So I hope this video is useful and that you now know how to make the rectangular lanyard keychain. And thanks for watching.